The G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group plays a crucial role in anti-corruption efforts globally, offering a platform for member states and various stakeholders to share experiences, exchange good practices, and implement concrete measures to address corruption. This first meeting will provide an opportunity for the South African presidency to outline its priorities for the working group and introduce the identified deliverables. We look forward to having a robust and constructive discussions that will foster meaningful outcomes. I would like now really to take this opportunity to introduce our good friend, our co-chair, Mr. Marcelo Pontes Viana, from the Office of the Comptroller General of Brazil. Marcelo, I invite you to the floor to deliver your introductory remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Advocate Motibi. I would like to begin by extending my heartfelt greetings to all the esteemed authorities present here today, and I do so on behalf of Minister Nkosi Buthelezi and Ms. Pinky Sharon Kakana, Deputy Minister of Public Service and Administration. And I also wish to acknowledge and greet the various delegations and representatives from international organizations who are with us today. It's with great honor that Brazil has accepted the invitation from South Africa to co-chair the ACWG this year. We are deeply committed to supporting the South Africa presidency priority of fostering solidarity, equality, and sustainability. And we hope these goals will inspire all the nations represented here to work collectively toward achieving the objectives of this group. Each year, the ACWG continues to serve as a vital forum for constructive dialogue on anti-corruption policies. This platform allows the representatives of the G20 countries to collaborate on advancing standards and commitments that not only guide the effort of the G20 nations, but also set a leading example for the rest of the world. The discussions within this group are not always the easiest ones. As we all come from diverse backgrounds, and at times we may have different perspectives and understanding of certain issues. However, I firmly believe that this is through democratic and respectful dialogue that, even from initial discord, we can reach a common understanding and approve a new set of guidelines to shape our anti-corruption efforts. I would like to reaffirm Brazil's commitment to supporting the ACWG in all its endeavors. We are dedicated to working toward the adoption of mutually agreed upon documents by the end of this year. I extend my best wishes to the South African presidency for a successful mandate this year, and I wish all delegations a productive and rewarding week of work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcelo. We appreciate those kind words. At this point, we are privileged to introduce our Deputy Minister in the Department of Public Service and Administration, Ms. Pinky Kekana. I invite you, Honorable Deputy Minister, to deliver the opening remarks. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of the Department of Public Service and Administration, Nkosi Mzamo Buthelezi, our revered co-chairs, Advocate Andy Motibi and Mr. Marcelo Pontes Viana, who will be steering the technical meetings of the Anti-Corruption Working Group. Let me recognize you. Our National Director of Public Prosecution, Mayor Shamila Batoy, I want to also recognize you. Distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues of this working group, let me also recognize you. It is a privilege to welcome you all to this crucial gathering of the G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group on behalf of our government. As South Africa assumes the honor of the G20 presidency this year, we recognize the immense responsibility that comes with leading these discussions, particularly on a matter as vital as combating corruption. Corruption remains one of the greatest obstacles to inclusive economic growth, sustainable development, and public trust in governance. As we meet here today, our task is clear: to advance collective action, strengthen institutional frameworks, and ensure that our commitments translate into real impact for our nations and our people. South Africa has placed the fight against corruption at the heart of our national and international agenda. Through collaboration, transparency, and accountability, we must reinforce global mechanisms that deter corrupt practices and uphold the rule of law. As a department, we look forward to these insights and recommendations that will emerge from this technical meeting, knowing that the strength of the G20 lies in our shared commitments to integrity, fairness, and justice. On that note, you are all officially welcomed to the most well-known part of South Africa, the Western Cape. It is also home to the city of Cape Town, which has been voted the greatest city on earth in 2025 by Time Out magazine, and for good reason. The Western Cape is celebrated globally for its natural beauty, rich and diverse culture, internationally rivaled cuisine and wine, vibrant music scene, but most of all, our people who personify the spirit of Ubuntu, which is an ancient African concept meaning humanity to others. It is often described as reminding us that I am what I am because of who we all are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and best wishes for our deliberations. And without any further ado, allow me to welcome the Minister of Public Service and Administration, Honorable Nkosi Mzamo Buthelezi, to deliver the keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for introducing me. And may I take this opportunity to greet our co-chairs, Advocate Motibi, the head of South African Special Investigating Unit, and our good friend, Marcelo Viena, Secretary of Private Sector Integrity, the Office of the Comptroller General in Brazil. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Republic of South Africa, it is my profound honor to welcome all delegates from the G20 member states and guest countries to the Western Cape, as we have been welcomed by Deputy Minister. A province positioned at the southern tip of Africa, known for its rich cultural heritage and natural beauty, bordered by both the Indian Ocean on the south and the Atlantic Ocean on the west. As we are gathered in this historic setting, we are united by a common purpose to confront corruption that has become an adversary that threatens the very fabric of our democracies, economies, and societies. This inaugural G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group technical meeting marks a defining moment not only for South Africa, as the first African nation to assume the G20 presidency, but for the entire continent and the global south. In line with our presidency's theme, which is solidarity, equality, and sustainable development, this summit serves as a central effort to address the global challenge that undermines development, economic solidarity, and public trust. South Africa, therefore, remains committed to fostering global cooperation in addressing the root cause of corruption. We remain committed in strengthening mechanisms for good governance, transparency, and accountability. Corruption is a multifaceted problem that manifests in various forms, from the misappropriation of public funds to bribery and nepotism. It's both a cause and a consequence of poor governance, as it flourishes in an environment where ethical leadership is absent, financial controls are weak, and where accountability is lacking. Corruption has far-reaching implications that are eroding and weakening trust in the public institutions, implications that are stifling economic growth and depriving millions of citizens of essential services and opportunities. As I often say, corruption is not just an economic crime, but the worst betrayal of the trust that our people place in us. It must be uprooted at every level. Since South Africa ratified the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2004, it has committed to a comprehensive approach in combating corruption, one that involves not just government, but all sectors of our society. This summit, therefore, is a testament to our commitment and a call to action for all G20 nations to reinforce their efforts in building transparent, accountable, and resilient governance systems. Our country has put in place strong constitutional and legislative provision to combat corruption. Various law enforcement agencies, regulatory bodies, and oversight institutions have been put in place with a very clear mandate to preventing, detecting, and prosecuting corruption effectively. One of the Anti-Corruption Working Group's primary objective is to strengthen the public sector by promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership. Therefore, a robust public sector ensures that officials operate within an ethical governance framework where public trust hinges on the integrity of our institutions. By enhancing ethical standards and oversight mechanisms, we can foster a culture of accountability and encourage public officials to serve their communities diligently. South Africa has also embraced a multi-agency model in tackling corruption, combining statutory and non-statutory structures to enhance collaboration and effectiveness. As part of our efforts to combat corruption, our country has also identified 4 key priority areas, and these priorities are aligned with the G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group Action Plan 2025 and 2027. The first one is strengthening the public sector integrity by promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership. The second one being enhancing asset recovery efforts to ensure that stolen resources are recovered and used for public good. Recovering illicitly acquired assets is not just a moral imperative, but a fundamental principle outlined in the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Recovered assets can be reinvested in development projects, providing critical resources for improving living standards and economic growth. However, the complexities of asset recovery, compounded by various legal frameworks and jurisdictions, pose a significant challenge. The Anti-Corruption Working Group's effort to streamline these processes and facilitate a greater international cooperation are therefore very critical. Excellencies, our third priority is fostering inclusive participation by mobilizing public and private sectors, civil society, and academia to work collaboratively in preventing and combating corruption. The fight against corruption cannot be a responsibility of government alone. A multi-sectoral approach that brings together the above sectors is essential. This year's summit, as mentioned earlier, serves as both a call to action and a reminder that our success hinges on our collective efforts. Active citizenry must be at the heart of anti-corruption efforts, as they are not just passive recipients of governance, but the drivers of accountability and reforms. When they are empowered, informed, and engaged, they become the most effective deterrent against corruption. Our fourth priority, which is the most important one, is to protect the whistleblowers as a key element in enhancing anti-corruption efforts. Many individuals hesitate to report corruption for fear of retaliation. The Anti-Corruption Working Group will explore legislative reforms that provide robust protection for those who come forward with information about corrupt practices. Ensuring that whistleblowers can report wrongdoings without fear is vital for creating an environment where accountability can flourish. These priorities reflect our solid commitment as a country to build a resilient governance framework where corruption finds no refuge. As a key aspect of our plan is its depth and effectiveness in delivering our desired outcomes. While collaboration remains essential, integrity is also at the heart of our approach. As previously highlighted, that the absence of ethical leadership poses a significant threat. Therefore, our institutions must uphold the highest standard of excellence, and by attracting individuals of integrity, excellence, and competence. Our approach is both comprehensive and pragmatic, ensuring that strategies we implement are impactful, sustainable, and aligned with international best practices. The ACWG operates under the St. Petersburg Strategic Framework of 2013, a framework which guides its action plans and priorities. This collaboration is enriched by partnership with various G20 engagement groups, including the B20, the C20, and the T20. Such partnerships are important to ensure a holistic approach in anti-corruption measures, integrating perspectives from multiple sectors. We also extend our appreciation to Brazil for agreeing to co-chair the Anti-Corruption Working Group alongside South Africa. Their leadership and expertise will be instrumental in shaping meaningful outcomes during our engagement. As G20 presidency, South Africa is dedicated to building upon the commitments of the previous G20 summits. Our goal is to accelerate the implementation of international legal instruments that G20 members have ratified, reinforcing our collective fight against corruption. Our outcomes of this summit will align with the broader global commitments such as the African Union Agenda 2063. The Anti-Corruption Working Group's work will set the agenda for future anti-corruption interventions, addressing the root causes of corruption and reinforcing mechanisms of accountability. By focusing on strengthening public institutions, enhancing asset recovery, promoting inclusive participation, and protecting whistleblowers, the Anti-Corruption Working Group is poised to make meaningful impact. As I conclude, co-chairs, the fight against corruption is not a sprint, but a marathon that requires unwavering commitment and collective action. Through collaboration, integrity, and shared resolve, the G20 nations can set a powerful example of transparency, accountability that resonates far beyond their borders. I trust that over the next 3 days, our engagements will be productive and that the discussion will drive forward the shared goals of strengthening anti-corruption frameworks globally. The work we do here is not just about policy, but about securing the future of our nations and protecting the prosperity of our people. As I often say when referring to corruption, that it's not just an economic crime, but the worst betrayal of the trust that people place in us. It robs future generations of opportunities and undermines the hard-earned gains of our democracies. Hence, it must be uprooted at every level. As I will come to you to the Western Cape, I was in essence inviting you to embrace the very spirit and pride that must define our future as nations. The fact that this province is flanked by two oceans stands as a powerful symbol of unity and immense potential of our collective efforts. Just as the ocean meets without borders, so must be our resolve against corruption. It should be uncompromising and leaving no route for escape. Even the province's position at the southernmost tip of Africa is more than just a geographic landmark. It's a profound metaphor for the direction we must take, one that leads to decisive forward. Let this moment signify a decisive turning point, one that shifts from combating corruption, because that will be something of the past, to prioritizing prevention of corruption. This summit must not only reaffirm our commitment, but must ignite a relentless pursuit of integrity, transparency, and accountability. I trust that you will have a productive engagement, and I also hope that during your stay, you will take an opportunity to experience the rich cultural and historical offerings of the Western Cape. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Colleagues, this brings us to the end of the inaugural session. Before we continue with the next session, we will have a short break to allow the media to take leave and set up for the panel of discussion to be held under session 2, and of course to allow the Honorable Minister and Honorable Deputy Minister to also take leave. Thank you. Session 2. Just to be clear, maybe we can, on time,